Pashupati Advani, founder at Global Foray, joins us right now with his thoughts. Pashupati, good having you. Thanks so much for joining in. What are you doing? The budget was a bit of a letdown in terms of the market reaction. We've recovered a little bit. Are you in the buying mode or in the wait and watch mode?
Well, I think what is really clear to me is that budgets are no longer as influential as they used to be.
Come on, Saturday was a big influential day.
No, I know, but I mean in sense of it's back to pre-Saturday levels. So, you know, I think we have problems not in India. There are problems outside India. In India itself, things are just chugging along, and people are sort of getting back to business, is that as you call it. It's going to be interesting times, but I think that this coronavirus is probably a reason to buy if the market falls down. So, you know, even though they've supposedly discovered 2,000 people in Kerala, 2,000 plus people in Kerala this morning, who apparently have some strain of it. So who knows? I don't know where 2,000 people from
Really?
Kerala.
No, that's the overall toll, I think. I think that 3 cases of coronavirus detected in Kerala. The overall toll in China, I think, is close to 2,000.
Yeah. 2,000, whatever. But I think, you know, what's 2,000 people for China or India? I mean, it's really a small number.
But it's 2,000 lives, Pashupati.
No, I know, but there are more people die in road accidents.
Okay, that's way of looking at it. But okay, so let's stick to the market impact then. Would you reckon that if there is a fall, you would presume that that's a way to buy, that's a reason to buy into the market?
See, actually, you know, if you look at all the previous times, now of course you can't depend on previous to do it. Assuming you will get some kind of a cure at some point, assuming that the summer when it comes, viruses are less likely to transmit. Obviously, you know, we're in February, there's a chance to buy if things really fall out of bed. And, you know, of course, there are some stocks that are going to be hurt, like airlines, for example, because they're not allowed to fly into China. And though Indian Airlines not so much, but, you know, certainly in the US and certainly a lot of other country airlines have stopped their flights, and there's disruption in earnings as well. So I think that those are the kinds of opportunities you can look at, because when the ban goes off, then airlines would be a good time to buy, right?
Yeah, well, so that's one way of looking at it as well. Mind you, airlines in India is a separate case in point, because there are not too many cases detected as yet. I think, if I'm not wrong, in Kerala, it's been declared as a calamity, because as of late, last numbers that we have, about 2 or 3 cases, and it's 20,000 cases of coronavirus detected in China. So that's the extent of the damage that we've seen already. The question mark is, can it be contained? And I'm sure governments and pharma companies are working in tandem to try and ensure that this does get contained. What about what the budget did or didn't do for some of the other factors, Pashupati? Let's say DDT. Now, how would you understand the impact of the move on Saturday for specific companies, for specific kinds of investors?
See, I'll tell you, DDT, according to me, is a big pointer that says MNCs come to India. Because previously, the MNCs were paying the DDT, which was not, you know, a lot of the countries where the MNCs are coming from have got double taxation treaties with India. And, you know, let's say, for example, a company wants to give 100 crores in dividend to its parent. Previously, the 10 crores would get lost here. Now the money comes, the parent has to pay tax, but that tax is offsettable due to the DTA with America, for example. So I think it's a very positive move for MNCs. The problem is that MNCs are already trading at 40 and 50 PE. But, you know, there are some sleeping MNCs where the Indian company is doing better than the US company, and those are certainly ones to be looked at. And as a way of, you know, sort of getting money out. I mean, you know, at the end of it all, they want a return on their investment. And, you know, particularly, as I said, if the company overseas is not doing so well, and the company in India is doing well, then it's an opportunity for them to transfer some of the earnings.
Okay. What did you make out of the earnings so far? At least in the index, we're out with 60% of the numbers. Majority of them in line, if not beating estimates. Do you think things could change from here?
Well, obviously, the 60% will be the ones that are smiling. The balance 40, we'll see how much off they are. I would assume that see, one of the good things is that the banks have had actually less provision to take than they had originally estimated. You know, particularly because of some results out of the NCLT. You know, they had taken their loans down to 1 rupee, and now they've got 30%, 40%. In the case of ArcelorMittal, I believe they got even close to 80%. So, you know, that's a positive step. But, you know, there's an article going around about Ray Dalio saying sell all your financial assets. So that's maybe maybe he has, obviously, but I think that's another thought which is quite scary, but it's going around.
Okay. What would you do in terms of fresh investments, Pashupati, if you had to make one post the budget now that the event is out of the way? You start making allocations. Where do you make that?
As I said, I think the MNC pack looks good. I'm looking for some of the less obvious candidates, which have been dividend paying. Run a sift of all the companies that have paid dividends in the past and see which ones actually you can kick the tires and are going to continue and maybe pay higher dividend. The only difference is that because of this, the budget having coming now, a lot of companies are not going to declare before March 31st because the budget has to get passed, right? And so I think that a lot of people do declare dividends, particularly the PSUs. They declare dividends in February and March. They may push it off to first week of April, just because of the tax benefit.
What do you think of the impact on life insurers on the back of this new tax slab that they've come up with, which does not require, which obviously gets rid of all the exemptions and doesn't require you to save via ATC?
Well, that obviously is going to be a game changer in the sense that it means that the government wanted money to come up front, and therefore there's a big change. But the reality is there's a table, I think, in one of the dailies today that actually shows that if you are willing to be a saver and put the 1.5 lakhs and you've got HRA, you'll actually be paying less tax, up to about 25 lakhs a year. So it really doesn't affect the people who are salaried or people who are making low incomes. And in the higher income, they're in the exemption game anyway. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of people shifting. Likewise, even in corporates, when given the choice, the answer is they did not shift, but all new projects have done their costing based on no exemptions and have maybe taken the new tax route. But the old projects, I haven't seen too many people shifting because they were paying 20, 21, 22% average tax anyway.
Yeah, that's true. And therefore, the question mark about ELSS schemes or insurance schemes might be different. We'll have a conversation with Max Live, by the way, coming up. So that's something that you got to watch out for as well. Pashupati, the metal space was just starting to rally, buoyed by what might be happening to global trade before this coronavirus scare has hit. And the stocks have come off as well. Valuations are not all that rich. Would you look to take exposure here?
Yeah, but the thing is, I think one has to wait a little bit because a lot of the metal demand is out of China. And China is shut down. So the movement of metal is more is more the concern. Even if you have the metal today, if you have to move it 3 months from now, you're not going to get paid until you actually deliver it. And one of the big challenges is that China has actually closed their physical borders. And they're the major users of all the metals that are coming out. So I think, we have to a little bit wait and watch how this plays out. I think it will resolve, but I think, you'll lose, a couple of months of earnings, which will hurt all the metals companies.
They've also, now Apple is the company which has shut down all of its stores in China, its manufacturing hubs in China. At least in a short-term period of time, do you feel a positive for India, at least with regards to your contract manufacturers, or this is just too short a period of time to identify what kind of opportunity this brings?
See, a lot of companies had looked at doing some manufacturing in India, and most Western companies who've looked at that have maybe 10% of their manufacturing outside China. How much of that is in India is tough to tell, but I'm saying that they've maybe shifted 10, maybe 15%, and countries that have benefited a lot have been the nearby countries like Vietnam and Philippines to some extent. And so but I think that 1-2 months is not going to make a difference because nobody can put that capacity in. But yes, it will mean that people will start looking at sort of spreading their manufacturing risk, and over the cycle, which I think is 4 to 5 years, we'll see our fair share, I'm sure.
What's up and trading very well are stocks like Honeywell Auto, GMM Pfaudler, which is up another 6%, and that stock is trading at astronomical valuations, but continues to rise and shine because the outlook of growth is looking very strong. Just wonder though, the other one which is doing extremely well is Westlife Development, and I think that is trading at 480. Pashupati, Jubilant FoodWorks has had a massive run after its results. Westlife, after the results, has really run up in trade. Do you like this QSRs? There are only two per se in this space, and then there is a specialty restaurants. But do you like these companies?
Well, I think the move to QSRs was there, then it stopped. Now again, if it's moving, then we're seeing the result. But I think also there's this issue of the dividends and multinationals getting involved. You mentioned Honeywell, for example. That's a classic case of, the Indian company doing well, and, probably the dividend distribution, they'll make a bigger distribution. And as a shareholder, this is one more way to get a large dividend.
So what is the dividend play that you would use? I mean, what are these companies which you would look to buy into in a hope that you will get larger dividends, Pashupati? I'm guessing you play that game well.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is looking at a SIFT on Bloomberg as to what the dividends paid are, and then actually kicking the tires. Are they going to pay that extra? Are they going to give the DDT also? And then see if you can adjust in the tax bracket. I mean, that's the main thing. So, and certainly if you're an MNC who is from America, like Honeywell, for example, you will get the money from here. You will be able to adjust it against your taxes there. So why not? It's better for you.
So the minority shareholder also benefits.
Yeah.
Okay.
The minority shareholder benefits because of the majority.
Precisely. Yeah. Well.
The will of the majority, I would.
The will of the majority. Okay. Great. Pashupati Advani, take a moment to thank you for joining in today and giving us your perspective. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.